Did you know that 99% of Moroccans are Muslim? And what I found about my time in Morocco was that, yes, different faiths and different communities do exist, but it was in fact difficult for me to find my Christian community, which I still communicate with, love and adore, but it was something that I had to seek out because 99% of one faith is quite a big number. And if you're looking to move to Morocco to be immersed in a community other than Muslim, it's gonna take a little bit of extra work, but it's not impossible. Welcome or welcome back to the Jazzy Nation. My name is Jasmine, and in today's video, I'm sharing what I think future expats and tourists should know all about Morocco. Jumping straight into language, there are a multitude of languages that are spoken within Morocco, but the main languages are Arabic, French, and some English. I learned French and I got by, but I wish I knew more. And honestly, I wish I knew some Arabic. I think that you can get by in Morocco without knowing a lick of Arabic or French, but it would be of service to you and those around you to have a little bit of that language backbone with you before you arrive and continue to learn it while you're there as well, because it just really helps ease your transition into the country. And it also helps with day-to-day interactions if you can speak the local language or French and have some transferable knowledge of either language, because it helps you communicate, it helps you make friends a little bit easier. I highly recommend that you learn a few key phrases that are gonna help you get by either as a tourist or as an expat. And if you're an expat looking to move to Morocco, go a little deeper, learn a little more, and ask questions as well. When it comes to money, the dirham was the form of currency. That is what I used to obviously buy things. And I felt that it was an easy currency to get used to, it's an easy currency to learn about. You just have to really put your mind to it. And once you do that, you will just be buying stuff left and right and going to the markets. Let's talk about getting around in Morocco, and in particular Casablanca, Morocco, because that is where I lived and I have a little more knowledge about that particular city. Taxis were my main mode of transportation. I didn't have a car, but other expats did in fact have cars. Getting around in Casablanca was fairly simple with taxis because to me, the city isn't that big, and so you're not really going long distances in taxis. I found that they were fairly affordable. Taxis were pretty reliable, except on Sundays. Sometimes we tried to go grocery shopping on Sundays, and we just couldn't get a taxi. So sometimes we walked. Actually, we walked everywhere. We walked to a lot of different places around the city, and like I said, Casablanca to me was not that big, and so walking was not a problem. I actually really enjoyed getting out, getting fresh air, looking at everything throughout the city, because everything to me is just so fascinating. And I felt that walking around in Casablanca was pretty safe as long as I maintained my situational awareness, and if I didn't go out at like midnight to go like walking down the street or something like that. Like, common sense is a must, not just in Casa, but anywhere around the world.
Traveling by train was my favorite way to get around Morocco to visit other cities throughout the country. I found the train system to be accessible and affordable. Traveling by train is a good option if you want a different experience or don't have a car.
Let's talk about what you should see when you travel to Morocco. Obviously, there are tons of cities and cities I didn't even visit that I am just looking forward to going to in the future, because I do plan to go back to Morocco. There's Chefchaouen, there's Marrakech, Fez, Gulmim. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I think for a tourist, it would be so worthwhile for you to plan a more extended type of trip, maybe 2 weeks to 3 to 4 weeks, because I think you want to be able to see as much as you can while you're in the region, because leaving and then coming back, like I obviously plan to do, costs money and time and all of that stuff. And then obviously you've got the mosque. Sandu is the mosque that's in Casa. Not all mosques are going to be open to non-Muslims. Obviously, I recommend that you go shopping. We mentioned shopping already in this video. Souks are fabulous places. They're like open air markets where you can get everything, in my opinion, from handicrafts to olives to meats and foods and different things like that. I honestly just love going to the souks just because of the experience. But if you're looking to buy and to barter, there you go. Moroccan people are actually very, very nice. And I'm not just saying that because I lived there. Even as a tourist, you will get treated very, very well. I would say most people have conflict with maybe taxi drivers and folks that work in markets because of the bartering. Sometimes with taxis, you might also have to barter. And so not a lot of people are comfortable with that. And so in a lot of ways that looks like conflict. But if you, again, know language and know kind of how to handle yourselves in those types of situations, or you have a friend that can be with you in those types of situations, there really doesn't need to be conflict. But overall, I found that Moroccan people are absolutely sweethearts. Very nice, very hospitable, always ready with the Moroccan mint tea because that is just a sign of hospitality and a beautiful way to start conversations and to get the ball rolling when it comes to meeting each other for the first time. So definitely recommend that you link up with some amazing people while you're in Morocco. And you can definitely do so as a traveler or as an expat by looking at Facebook groups. When I was there, Facebook was not as poppin', but now everybody is on Facebook. So definitely look up expat groups or look up travel groups of people that have traveled to Morocco as well, so you can have conversations and direct your questions to people that have had experiences that you are looking to have for yourself. Eating and drinking while traveling and living abroad is probably like a sport for me at this point. Like, I love those two things. And in particular, I love Moroccan food. I honestly do. I recommend you try everything. Honestly, the sweet and salty pairings of like a tagine or a pastilla, just divine. I mean, you cannot go wrong with either of those things or both if you are there for an extended amount of time. And obviously I mentioned Moroccan mint tea. Definitely drink as much Moroccan mint tea as you can. It's just so good. And having Moroccan sweets to go with your Moroccan mint tea is a must. But some safety precautions I have for you when it comes to eating and drinking is, number one, make sure you drink bottled water, but make sure, and this goes for places around the world, make sure the seal on the bottled water that has been served to you at a restaurant has not been broken prior to bringing it to your table. And if you're living in Morocco, I recommend that you get some shower filters, some water filters for your sink. And that's mostly because your body is not going to be used to the water in any place around the world. And so to kind of just get that clarity from where you're used to living, we're not going to sugarcoat it. Water filters help a lot. And I pride myself on even having a water filter now in my kitchen sink to drink my water from now in America, because it's just really helpful and it really improves the quality of your health. When it comes to electricity, no, your American adapter is not going to fit into an adapter or plug in Morocco because it's just not the same. I believe the plugs are European style or French style. I will confirm. Just know before you get to Morocco that you want to have some sort of converter. So whether that's like those little interchangeable converters, I have one and I carry it anywhere because you never know what type of plug you're going to need. And I like the ones that have different little sockets so that you can kind of play around with the plugs without getting electrocuted, okay? Do not play around electricity. Doing so allows you to have a little more flexibility with your electronics. And if you are planning to move to Morocco for a little longer of a stay, you definitely want to invest in some converters. We've kind of touched on safety a couple times here, but let's get straight into it. Showing wealth, privilege, flashiness is not something that I recommend. You want to be a little bit more subdued in the things that you present to the world in general, but in particular here in Morocco, you just want to keep those things and those characteristics about you a little bit more subdued. And doing so helps you not to be a target, honestly. I, for the most part, felt like I was safe in Morocco and in Casablanca, but I also wasn't a target. I wasn't flashy. I blended in for the most part on most days. But yeah, I really did not try to draw attention to me, and I think that really helped me stay safe. We talked a little bit about taxis, but this is something I've noticed just abroad. Seatbelts might not even be in the back seats of a taxi or your Uber, so just be mindful about that. I mean, I guess you kind of use your own judgment as to if you're going to get into a taxi or a car. If there is no seatbelt, you have to decide that on your own. Last but not least, let's touch on medical care. And yeah, we talked about parasites and bugs and things that I've dealt with. Bring extra medication that you rely on every day. You may be able to find that exact same medicine at a pharmacy in Morocco, but if you might need it sooner than later and you don't really want to look right when you arrive as a traveler or an expat, bring it with you. All right, can I just say we got through that video and it's been a little loud, it's been a little crazy, but I'm glad that we are here at the end. Again, ask me questions if you have them. And of course, subscribe to this channel. You don't want to miss out on a future upload. I'm thinking about, I don't know, venturing out a little bit, doing more travel tips as I long to travel, as I yearn to get out into the world again. Why not just talk about getting out into the world again and helping you all do just that?